All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and start the salad. And the first thing I'm gonna do is chop the parsley. Everything got parsley in it. More parsley. So I just do it really simple. It's not necessary to just pick it from there, to separate it from there. You see this? See this part? How it's all stuck together? So what I do, like that, just like that. Fold and pick. Not gonna lie, that chicken smelled good. So because I'm using this in a salad, I'm gonna use a parsley almost like a lettuce. Sometimes I chop it, but today I feel like, make it like more rustic, colors popping. So just like that, bunch it up again, any loose part, and it's just wider, slices like that. And I'll do it again one more time the opposite way. Any visible stems, and that's pretty much it. I want to keep it rustic. So we got our bowl here, put our parsley in there, just like that. Clean our cutting board, always clean along the way, less to clean later. Next is going to be the cucumber. So for the cucumber, you can use English cucumber, which is, it almost looks like this, but it's like super long and about this wide. But I like to use Persian cucumbers because if I get a bag of Persian cucumbers like this, they usually come with about like 10 inside. I can use it for different things. I can make cucumber sticks, make rounds, cut it in diagonal, and I can actually pickle some if I have some left over, So that's why I like these little small ones, because if you cut the big one, then you keep slicing away and the end's always mushy and stuff. So why do that when you have Persian? So like, for this tomato salad, instead of using a globe, which is a regular tomato, I'm going to use the Campari tomatoes. And I usually cut those into 4. I'm going to make it like a real chunky rustic salad. So because I cut it, the tomatoes this size, I'm just going to go ahead and make sure I match the cut of the tomatoes as well. So I'm going to make it like a chunky salad for today. So as you can see the size of my tomatoes that I have here. So it just gives me, an idea of what cut I want to cut this into. So there's different ways that you probably see in the past that I cut it, but this time I'm just gonna do this cut instead. Just keep it chunky. Look at that. Ooh. Is it me? I feel like I can taste just by feeling. I just like already know it's gonna be super good. All right. So that's the cucumbers. Just rustic, And I'm gonna go ahead and finish those tomatoes. So I'm gonna use about 4. That's like 1 tomato per person if you want to make it super simple. So of course, like I mentioned in my other videos, flat, and just cut into 4. And the way I also prep onto my cutting board, if you ever seen, is because I am right-handed, so I work from here to here. So I always keep it separate instead of like all over. It just helps with organization, but also for cleaning and all that stuff. Put that in a container. It looks so good. You're not mushy. You have a lot of liquid in it. And like I said, the reason why I like Campari tomatoes because there's always that balance of acidity to the sweetness. So next we're going to use red onion. I love when I reuse an ingredient. I'm just going to use only, for this recipe, it's supposed to be like half a cup of red onions thinly sliced. But I'm going to use a quarter because this thing is huge. So a quarter of this large onion. I'm going to use this one. And then I'm going to cut that off. I'm removing the membrane that's on here. Okay, and I'm just going to go ahead and clean all this up. If I haven't shown you before, you probably can't see it, but I have my little trusty garbage can that's attached to one of the cabinets here. Okay, so for the onion, like I showed before, then you sliced. And also, because everything is at like the width and of this is about this size, I'm just gonna go ahead and do the same thing for the onions. I'm just gonna take this and cut it in half. That's all. So I'm just gonna cut the rest. And then keep it together, cut it in half. Put that in a container, just like that. Red onions, done. Next, my favorite, feta cheese. So I already have one that's already open in here. I got some more, so excited. Because feta cheese can get a little messy, I'm putting it on this board for cheese, but you don't really have to. All right, so for the cheese, I don't want to cut it into squares. I was about to cut it into squares that I usually do, but I just want to crumble it. So let me just go ahead and do that. Just gonna crumble it a little bit, about half a cup. It looks better that way. Look, yeah, that looks way better. Gotta keep it rustic, homey, right, homie? Gotta keep it homey for my homies. All right, let me clean up. Done with that. Wipe down. All right, so next is just the seasoning part. So let's go ahead and grab those. Ta-da! That's it for the salad. So I'm gonna go ahead and do my picture for my blog. So bye-bye. Let's make the salad. I got my beautiful glass bowl. So the first thing I'm gonna do is make the dressing. We got our oregano for seasoning. We got olive oil, and we got our lemon juice. And when it comes to making dressing, the ratio is 1 to 3. So 3 part oil, 1 part acid. So like vinegar or lemon juice, anything acidic, or lime juice, whatever. If you want to make lime dressing, where am I going with the feta? Okay, so that's it. Ta-da, these 3 things, and also seasoning, of course, salt and pepper. Salt and pepper here. I'm sorry, I have to. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna add is the acid, and it's just gonna be like a quick. It's not gonna be like super emulsified. Okay, this is supposed to be a home meal, so I'm not gonna make it hard for you where you just like whisk until your eyebrows fall off. So adding the oregano, and I'm not gonna add the salt. Well, I can add the pepper, but not the salt yet. I like to add that last. That's like a 1/4 teaspoon of ground black pepper in there. So now we're just gonna slowly make sure your bowl is steady. So test it out. So we're gonna slowly add the olive oil, just little by little, just so that it incorporates. Just a little bit. Or, and so you can totally skip this recipe by just purchasing like your favorite vinaigrette, like Greek vinaigrette, Italian dressing, whichever. So as you can see, I'm being lazy right now because I'm just pouring it all in there. Okay, so you see, and I can smell that extra virgin olive oil. It always, of course, it smells totally different from regular olive oil. Okay, so I'm gonna add my salt, but before I do that, I want to taste it. And you want to taste it with a piece of something that it's going to be in. So I'm going to use cucumber. I'm hungry, so this is my excuse. Okay, so I know how much salt to add. Oh my God, this is going to be good. The lemon juice just hit. Okay, so that's done. Putting my salt away. Trying to keep my area clean. So we're going to go ahead and add the other ingredients. All right, so we got tomato, cucumber. All right, so the cheese, you're always going to add it last because, it crumbles easily. So we're going to add our fresh onions. Some people do not like the taste of onions. So if you have like a crowd that has a mixture of people that like onions and that don't like onions, one of the things that you can do is soak the onions for like 3 or 5 minutes in cold water to help take a lot of that raw taste out. But I'm okay with it because of the acidity and all the other seasoning in there, so I'm fine. So I'm going to go ahead and add those onions. So red onions, parsley. I'm going to mix this first. Just fold it. Folding is just like moving it like that. But there we go. Just gently mixing it all together. See how beautiful that is? Got to eat the rainbow, my friend. Okay, now you can add the cheese. Here, I'm just going to add, I'm going to leave a little bit in there for garnish. So just gently toss that in there. You don't want to break it up. But I love seeing the dressing like coating that feta cheese. So good. So this is why you don't really need like a creamy dressing because you got the cheese in there. That's enough. And the feta cheese is like, has that saltiness. It's almost like hitting all your senses in there, except for the sweetness. but that's in the tomatoes actually, especially curry tomato. All right, so I'm gonna start setting. Okay, I'm getting too excited. I'm gonna start setting up for the symbol of the rice bowl.